The most intense, thrilling, electrifying sport on the planet. Mixed martial arts. You've been looking for the definitive podcast to call your new home to hear everything about it. The search is over. This is the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. Bringing you the hottest MMA breakdowns straight from the heart of the octagon. This show is all about MMA breakdowns. For fans, by fans. We're talking UFC, MMA, and the occasional big boxing match. We'll bring our unique take on how these fights are going to play out and who we think are the best bets. Welcome to the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. And now your hosts, Olin, a.k.a. MMAnomaly, and Emiliano, a.k.a. Jive Turkey Nano.
What is up, fight fans? Welcome back to another episode of the MMAnomaly Show, No Filter. I'm your host, Olin, a.k.a. MMAnomaly. And now with me, as always, is Jive Turkey. As you can see, the turkey has flown the coop this week, but that's okay. Instead, we have professional mixed martial arts fighter Ian Juice Miller in the house, folks. And if you're not already following juice.mma, make sure you drop this man a follow. He is the best fighter you haven't heard of. Yeah. How we doing, Juice?
Man, I'm doing good. I was about to make a old, what's his name? Will Ferrell quote. I was going to say, did you call me Jive Turkey?
Just call me Jive Turkey.
But no, I'm doing good. It was good fights and, also good Super Bowl for me at least. So, can't be mad. How was your weekend?
Yeah, I can't be mad either, man. Zero complaints from me. I was very, very happy with how the Super Bowl went. I think everybody was kind of rooting against the Chiefs, even if they weren't rooting for the Eagles. And,
exactly.
Good times all around, if that was the case for you as well. And yeah, the fights were just money all around. Maybe not money in my pocket with some of the bets I made last week, but I digress. Can't win them all, folks. And I did hit on like one parlay at the very, very end on the co-main and main event. I took both winners on strikes. And I mean, that was kind of easy money, if I'm being honest. Kind of wish that was the only bet I made. Then I would have been up instead of breaking even. But we'll break even any day of the week, folks. So, with that being said, Insider. Oh, man, this is going to be a fun show. I can already tell. Shout out to the people that are already in the chat right now. Dix Insider, Sav, Jelly, and of course, me and Ian. We out here. Stay out here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this fight card from the very bottom. We had a fight that did not last very long at all. I mentioned last time this man was in the octagon, he was doing well enough up until his opponent just randomly started, for lack of better words, barking at him like a dog. And with that being said, he got terrified and he just started to kind of melt and wilt. And this one, it was going well enough. If you call well enough, not landing a strike quite yet, and just 19 seconds in, getting blasted in the face by a straight shot. Just nasty work for Keelan Salkield. Again, 19-second fight, not a whole lot learned from either man, if I'm being completely honest, because at the end of the day, I'm not here to throw shade at Anshul Jubilee. Anybody can get caught. We've seen the best in the world get caught before, folks. Looking at you, Jose Aldo, right? And Ben Askren, like 5-second knockout, after seeing what he did as a world breaker in other promotions, like anybody can get caught on an off night, and that maybe was the case. But we got to give shine to Keelan Salkield. And, he stepped up on, I believe, 2 weeks' notice. This was a short notice step in for him. Ooh, he went out there and made a name for himself on Saturday. Ian, what were your thoughts on this guy? What stood out to you? What surprised you, if anything?
Honestly, though, like kind of what you said, though, it's not much to take away from me being that short of a fight. Everyone can get caught, a la, GSP versus Matt Serra. The first one, obviously. But, yeah, there wasn't too much to take from it, just because it was, like you said, straight shot down the pipe, and took his lights out, basically. So, other than, here's the one thing I can add to it. Perry, That's about what I got. I mean, what did you learn from this in all seriousness?
I mean, other than, the obvious there, Perry, like, don't be so aggressive. He was moving forward a lot. He didn't really give himself time to download data from Selkilde, and the guy stepped in on 2 weeks' notice. So how much tape study did you do? Did you know he's got like a pullback counter shot? Did you know that if you give him space, he's going to land straight down the pipe? And just cutting angles. I mean, again, 19 seconds. I'm just throwing darts at the wall at this point, right? But I do feel like at least 2 out of 3 of those darts would stick, with all due respect. So, do I have
too, maybe one thing I could add maybe is, they're different styles of fighters, right? And the way they hold their hands, right? You got your Yuri Prohaska's where there is no hands up, but apparently his hands were up in this last fight. And then you got the high guard guys like Piotr Jan, who are high and tight like this. And then you got the guys that are kind of like the side, right? The Thai style fighters, right? Where their hands are more to the side. Obviously he didn't know what he was going to do. Maybe through some film search and whatnot, you can see that he, maybe throws straight shots down the pipe from the beginning of the fight, or at the beginning of the fight, like some fighters do. Or like some fighters, throw leg kicks right off the bat, right? So there's some things that you maybe want to look out for. But maybe that's what he saw in the film, or rather against Jubilee, was that his hands are a little wider, when he's in action, and if he's aggressive, you throw it down the pipe, he's going to run into it himself, and let him do the work rather than you throw a hard ass punch, just place it. But that's about it from at least on my end, to be completely honest with you, because I'm really excited for this next fight.
Bro, you and me both. I'm very excited for his next fight. Yeah, I expect like the post-fight celebration and everything, just like sparking one up. I mean, the dude is a beast. He has personality in spades, and I mean, 19-second knockout. He seems to have power and timing in spades as well. So I'm not going to play matchmaker for him just yet, just because I don't necessarily know where he is. The same way that I don't really know where Anshul Jubilee is as far as his skill level and his talent pool right now. But I will tell you, whenever he fights and whoever they put him in there against next, I will be watching, because holy smokes, man, that was a fun one. That was a really fun one.
Yeah, and I don't see Jubilee as well getting released off of this fight, by the way. Just because, like we talked about in the last one, his road to the UFC, right? And basically, India is such a big market, like promotionally speaking and marketing wise. So I think that, like kind of what they did with China for Road to One as well. Huge market. They just don't have the fighters yet. This is their push for that. So I understand what they're doing with this. But, swing and a miss on this one.
Yeah, and there's some good fighters coming out of that road to UFC, like really good Chinese fighters that I've seen. And I mean, Anshul Jubilee being a fighter out of India, where it's a very underpenetrated market, if we're being honest, as far as mixed martial arts. Marketing genius moves here, folks, are happening. And they know exactly what they're doing. There's a reason it's the fastest growing sport on the planet. And shout out Kloss in the chat. Always happy to have you here as well, my friend. Why another Apex event? Oh, man. It happens, they have a quota to hit. They have to fulfill X amount of events per year. I think it's like some crazy number, like 48 or 49 events per year. Does the UFC have to fulfill? So to do that, it's like sandbagging, as we call it in sales. They're basically sandbagging events over at the Apex. It's easy money. It's easy money. They don't have to pay any kind of fees or anything, and they're also expanding it right now to house more seating.
Yeah, what's that about? Because I heard they were redoing it, and I thought it was going to be shut down for a long time. But we're back, so I just want to know what the heck is going on. That's all.
Maybe they'll have like green tarps in the back, and they'll do the green screen setup like Karate Combat, so just to hide all the construction. I wouldn't be mad at it.
No. And
it's not like the people that are at the Apex are going to complain, because like you've got an amazing seat, and they're probably going to give you a decent price on it if that's the situation.
Yeah, 100%. No, I agree with you. I just don't know what's going on at the Apex right now.
Yeah. I don't think anybody does. But as long as they keep having fights and we don't go through a drought, I'm totally fine with it. I will gladly watch it on TV. And with all due respect, I know, Klaus, you're not a fan of the Apex events, but as long as they're quality fights, I enjoy them because I can hear every punch, and there's something really nice. There's something really special about that. It feels very old school, right?
Well,
so
you
yeah,
have to add in the fact that you can hear the corners. I think that at least to me on my end, that's what I like to hear.
Absolutely.
Like great example is when Gaethje fought Ferguson. It wasn't in the Apex, but it was empty, right? Was it in the Apex actually?
I think it was in the Apex. It was the last main event of the Apex.
Yeah. So nonetheless, right? It was in the Apex, and
you're getting too excited out there. You remember what happened last time you got excited like this, right? Yeah, I got knocked out.
Yeah, exactly. And
he was talking about the Poirier fight.
Yeah, but like, you know what I mean? Like hearing a genius, a wizard, like a true wizard in the coaching world, like Trevor Whitman, that's a blessing for us. Like
1000%.
Even if you don't fight, like you can. There's always something to learn, and just hearing someone that's so like his perspective on things and his introspect on what's going on in the fight and what he sees as a guy that's never even actually fought MMA. I just think it's wonderful to hear. Also, every time I hear the name Klaus, I don't know if you remember this or if you've actually even seen this, but have you seen John Wick 4?
Yes.
I am Klaus.
I am Klaus.
So
dude,
that's all I needed to
add.
Yeah,
the John Wick movies are absolutely incredible.
Yeah. No,
I'm intrigued by the next one that's going to come out, the ballerina spinoff with Ana de Armas.
Isn't that a TV show they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm down for it.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy to check it out. I'll watch anything with Ana de Armas in it at least once. Klaus said, Mike Perry Apex was peak. They need a long break. I mean, you're not wrong, right? Like, my Halo. Oh, man. Not the Halo song he wanted, but the Halo song we loved. I'm obviously stalling here, folks, because I got this next one wrong. Oh, gosh. I took Kevin Doucette, and I'm very sad about it. I actually am doing a UFC fantasy league, and we go off like the DraftKings scoring system. We had a draft at the beginning of January, like I think 8 or 9 of us, and basically you pick a fighter from each weight class plus one wild card. Those are your fighters until July. Whatever points they accumulate in the DraftKings scoring system, whoever has the most points, there's the first, second, and third place winnings. I'm currently in first, but by the skin of my teeth, and because I've had a decent amount of fighters already go. Kevin Doucette was one of those fighters. He got me, I think, like 25 points, which is tough. Not what you want when somebody else on the card who I won't name had Zhang Weili, fucking Nano, and she got a lot more points than 25. I'll tell you that. She got closer to like 125. So it's gonna be a long season, is what I'm saying. And I'm not doing shots tonight. Instead, I have this very, very nice bottle of whiskey that I'm drinking from. Obviously not from the bottle. We're not barbarians here, but we're drinking it from a nice little glass with some ice in there. So cheers, folks. I got this one wrong. I really got this one wrong.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of go off of that, to be honest with you, because granted, we didn't watch much film on Jonathan, but what kind of shocked me was, obviously his kicking ability, but like if you keep perspective in mind, he was actually doing like curveballs basically with his leg, because he would speed it up and throw them and yam it right into the body, and then on the next one he would like almost half-ass it, and then boom, and
there was no normal cadence. It's like I always tell my friends, like when I'm listening to music, like it doesn't even have to be the best song in the world. The songs that I find myself like listening to on repeat are the ones that halfway through it almost sounds like a completely different song because of how much the tempo changes. Jonathan was literally doing that throughout the entire freaking fight. Like Mikalev, exactly like you said, and you'd hear it snap in, and then just little thuds, and then bam! Like the best way to describe it, if there are any old school fans listening, looking at you making the walk, and shout out, folks, if you're not already following Making the Walk, drop that guy a follow. Fantastic channel, fantastic content, and an even more fantastic person, folks. So again, for my old fans out there, the best thing that comes to mind for me is Nick Diaz. Like the way that Nick Diaz would just pat, 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 pat. Like he just slips the hard one in there. And when he does, you're like, oh boy, that one didn't look like it felt too good. And Mikalev was doing the same exact thing. And when oh God, dude, there were at least 3 times in that fight where I genuinely felt nauseated because I've sparred. It's been a minute, but I used to train a lot. I used to spar a lot, and I've felt those types of kicks, and they don't feel good at all. I would rather get punched in the face 20 times than kicked in the body one time like that. It doesn't feel good. And my man Giuseppe was eating him on the body. He was eating him on the legs. He was eating him to the head. Like, if there's one thing that I learned about Giuseppe that I didn't know is he's got a hell of a chin, bro. He has a hell of a chin. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, no, I agree. And to piggyback off of one of the things you said, if you're a newer fan and you do want to see a great, Nick, if you want to learn about who really Nick Diaz is, go watch him versus Paul Daly. I'll leave it at that because that top 10 greatest fights of all time, and it shows how he uses that I guess style, I guess you could say, to his ability against the guy who hits like a shit ton of bricks like a Paul Daly. So just something to keep in mind. And yeah, I mean, Nick Diaz is significantly the better Diaz brother. Like, let's just call a spade here.
It's a fact. It's a fact. Nate would say it too, bro. Like, we're not disrespecting Nate if he would say the same thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. And
with all due respect, he would say the same thing.
I think anyone within the right mind would, but there are some crazy people out there. But to kind of get back on topic with Giuseppe, he just came out so slow. Like, he wasn't responding to anything really, like blocking the kick. I mean, granted, right? The kick, like the kicks were coming under his elbow and still getting in, which is great technique on Jonathan's end. But, just even like taking it and going off of it, because otherwise you're giving him no reason to not throw kicks. Like, longer range.
Either that or stepping into it and just chopping the tree the second he launches that kick. Exactly. Like, you got to make a decision in your head that, like, hey, I've already eaten 27 of these. The 28th one that he throws, I might eat it, but I'm going to get mine. And I'm going to make him think twice before he throws number 29.
Yeah.
And he just at no point did that.
Or even just, like, it being a different range, right? So, like, the way I think of things, there's 4 different ranges in MMA. There's out of range, kickboxing range, boxing range, grappling range. Grappling / like clinch range, I guess you could say.
Sure. Yeah.
But nonetheless, right, if you're in kickboxing range, you're not going to be able to usually hit them with your hands unless you're John Jones, because that's, physical anomaly. But, like...
An MMA anomaly, if you will.
Exactly. He is the MMA anomaly outside
truly.
of you.
As sad as it is, as much as I don't want to admit it, he truly is an MMA anomaly, man.
But nonetheless, right, like, change up the range. If you don't want to get kicked like that and you're not going to be the one returning, make it a boxing range. Pretty simple. I mean, not as easy as it is, right? But if you looked at the way the movement of the fight was going with Mikalev, he wasn't moving that much. He wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, they were very much kickboxers, not Dutch kickboxers or anything like that. They were very much like American style kickboxing. Sit there, you go, I go. And
they were taking turns.
Yeah, and change the range.
And Mikalev was just landing the bigger, stronger shots every time they take turns.
Because they were in kickboxing range, and then once you change it to boxing range, he throws a kick, thank you, or thank you.
Yes.
And just finish the fight. And
like, you step in. I learned that like week 3 in Muay Thai is that, like, my coach had like the best accent to where, like, it was so cool that when he speaks, you just listen to what he's saying because it just sounded cool. He's like, listen, Olin, if someone is throwing a kick, you need to step inside. You need to invade their range, because you cut off the power. I know it may seem scary. Maybe worst case scenario, you're going to eat the knee. But then you can land an elbow. You can land a short jab or short cross. You will hurt him worse than he hurts you, I promise.
Yeah, I mean, like...
And then I did that Saturday in sparring, and I knocked a dude down for the first time that was throwing a loaded kick, and I was like, ooh, I'm the fucking man, dude!
It's shocking. Like, you know what I mean?
It's insane. Like, there are so many basic steps that you don't see people take. Again, at such a high level, like you're saying. Sorry.
It's shocking to me. And I'm pulling up a photo because I actually did this in my last fight. And you can actually see it here. Where I'm throwing the elbow and you can see his leg in the air. You know what I mean? Like, it's something you should be doing as such a high level fighter they're at.
Yes.
You should be doing that. And that's the end of my rant. I'm sorry.
And he also great rant. It's a welcome rant because it's very analytical, and that's what we're all about, man. And this is also the no filter show, right? So we don't want you to filter any of that. Let it fly. I got to address the chat here, obviously. Making the wall. Kevin Joussette's poker face was so good. I know his insides were scrambled. Yeah, dude. Scrambled eggs in there. Oh, man. It's not going to feel good.
You probably pissed blood.
I was going to say his pee is red. His pee is red. Again, I've been there. It's not a fun feeling. That's exactly why, like I told you, there were 3 times during that fight where I genuinely felt nauseated because I was like, oh, like you get PTSD flashbacks when you've eaten some of those. And I don't know if you know this, but American Kickboxing Academy, a lot of good Thai guys over there. So I've eaten some pretty sharp ones back in the day. Not a fan. Not a fan. So adding on to what you were saying, like, again, obviously really great points. The only other thing that I can add, and thanks for leaving some meat on the bone for me, by the way. Like I noticed that Kevin Jousset was doing a lot of like very, very lateral movement, right? It's just like forward and backwards. He needs to really move and shuffle away from the power side, which I didn't notice him doing. And again, correct me if I'm wrong here, but a vast majority of those big body kicks that were landing were coming from the actual strong side, right? So when those were hitting from the strong side, like, again, it's basic Muay Thai 101 or basic boxing 101. If I'm just, fighting with the hands, if I'm going against a strong power puncher that throws strong right hooks and I've eaten one of them, I'm probably not going to circle into those power hooks anymore, right? I'm going to move towards his jab side. I'm going to move towards his lead side. Like, why was Jousset not switching direction? When he starts landing those body kicks, start circling outside. Even if you let him take the center of the octagon, like I get you want octagon control because that looks good, but eating body kicks while you have the center of the octagon doesn't look good. And that's what was happening more often than not because he was just moving forward into it.
Yeah, I mean, once again, just to bring up an old fight that happened in Conor McGregor versus Eddie Alvarez. I mean, circling straight into the power the whole time. And it's honestly, it's interesting to me because these guys get to such a high level and like, maybe it's the nerves, maybe it's the moment, like especially for Eddie and that, like with, fighting against the world basically. But like you gotta be on your P's and Q's. That's why you're in the UFC and, you gotta know, okay, maybe I should start circling to the outside to the weak hand rather. So maybe I don't take a fucking another body kick and piss blood tonight. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I mean, like, I'm not here to talk shit on Jousset because obviously he's a great fighter. He made it to the UFC, but like, I was just wondering what's going on in his mind in that moment. But here we are.
And again, to echo what Ian already said about this fight, like in like actual analytical like stats here, 97% of the strikes that Mikalev landed were at distance. 2% of the strikes landed by him were in clinch. So like, you stayed in distance range, or as you called it, kickboxing range for like 98% of the fight, bro. You're not doing yourself any favors against this guy. The second you eat that first strong body kick, you got to get out of there, kid. You got to get out of there. And shout out Osterberry's in the chat. Morning, peeps. How's the chat going? Shout out MMAnomaly and Juice MMA. Dude, shout out you, Osterberry's. You're the man. And good morning to you, my friend. I love having people from across the pond, across the world in the chat because it's just totally different times. We're drinking whiskey. They're drinking coffee. It's a beautiful day in paradise.
I mean, they can do both at the same time.
I typically do. It just depends on the day. I'll tell you, when we had that morning card, there may have been some whiskey in my coffee or just directly after. But man, I got to get back to these strikes. Like, Mikalev was doing absolute damage. I've just been talking about Jousset this whole time because I was high on him. I thought he was going to do a lot better in this fight. And he did well enough, but just, gosh, Mikalev was the better man, and he proved it, right? 25-16 on significant strikes in the first round, 30-25 in the second round, and 30-26 in the third round. So Jousset was actually doing a little bit better as the fight went on. He did start to pick up the pace and pick up the momentum altogether. But I digress. It just wasn't enough. It was a little bit too little, too late for him. And I mean, if he would have done in the last round what he did, or sorry, if he would have done in the first 2 rounds what he did in the last round, he probably would have won that fight, in my opinion. Yeah, because he really started to pour it on in the last 3 minutes.
You have to put into perspective, right? And you correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought we said it earlier that Mikolev was a late notice or late.
He was
late replacement rather.
he
right?
was so he
going
was
off of
definitely
a
slowing
short
down
camp-
as a result of that. Yeah.
Yeah, short camp. So one thing, once again I haven't watched all of his fights. I'll be completely honest. So but that's just something to keep in mind, right? For some guys, where like you're like, oh, he kind of gassed at the end. And it was like, well, was it short notice? Okay, he didn't have his full 8 weeks, whatever some of these guys are getting for these fights. So it's just something to keep in mind, right? Because like some people are going to watch the film and be like, oh, he gasses. Maybe his next opponent thinks that, and it's like, I don't know, my friend.
Yeah, I wouldn't bank on it. I'll tell you that.
Exactly. No, exactly. And speaking, like, why don't we just float in the next one? Speaking of guys that don't fucking get tired, what a fight! Fight of the year. I don't care what anyone says.
For anybody that bet against Wrong Zoo, nobody ever told you it's the wrong way. Dude, I was right on this one, not wrong on this one. I was with the right guy here, and he is also the wrong guy. We're talking about Wrong Zoo coming in against Cody Steele. Apropos last name at the very least, Ian. I mean, the man's chin at the very least is made of steel, and he was landing bombs. Make no mistake about it. But just, I mean, again, not enough. 59 significant strikes landed to 125 for Wrong Zhu. And by the way, folks, 59 total strikes landed for Cody Steele. So 59 total, 59 significant strikes. Every attempted strike from Cody Steele was considered a significant strike attempted.
Yeah.
So he was throwing nothing but the kitchen sink. And then you have the guy across from him who, by the way, threw 243 attempted strikes, 241 of which were considered significant attempted strikes, and he landed 125 of those. So absolute barn burner, absolute banger. I think people were sleeping on this. I think a lot of people thought Cody Steele was coming in here to get the little easy level up. But again, those people were wrong, and not in the good way, like my boy Wrong Zoo. He had the distance control. And I said that literally when we talked about this. I thought the veteranship, I thought the way that he's come in here in the past. And again, to put it into perspective, folks, in the community of Tapology, they let you do picks and they post them publicly. 6,611 people voted on this one, Ian. 86% of them were on Cody Steele. 86% of them should probably subscribe to the MMAnomaly Show so they can get their news from the right source here and they can be on the right guy. Because, again, like Wrong Zoo's record, he has 6 losses, and that's a scary thing. But you got to look at who they're to, folks. Ignacio Bahamondes, that's not a terrible loss. The fact that it took him 3 rounds to get him out, tough. Chris Padilla, talking about Taco, dude's a stud. He could take most of the division out.
He trains out
so,
here. Yeah, he's a good fighter. He's
a hella good fighter, man. My man Rose no bitch, bro. So I'm gonna jump off my soapbox and you tell me what you thought about this fight, because I am extremely high on Wrong Zoo, and I already was, but somehow I'm riding that train harder.
So I had 2 different thoughts on this, right? Because you take it from the entertainment aspect, where it was one of the best fights I've ever watched, right? In that regards, from an entertainment aspect. Then you look on the other side, the technical side. My God, that was terrible, though. I mean, at least from Steele, in regards to technique. I'm talking literally roll, hook, roll, hook, roll. I literally saw him do that 5 times in a row. I don't know if it was the second or the third, but
Ian, he's got 7 fights before this. Give him a break.
No. You get no break, my friend. This is the UFC. This is the highest level. You don't get. This isn't fucking rough and rowdy barstool. All right, you know what I mean?
Fair.
This is a real technical fight, and you decided to come out and. I mean, don't get me wrong. He gained fans, right? He did the Chris Moutinho or whatever method, right? Just go out there and bang and be able to take on the damage and put on a great fight, right? But where does that get you in the end?
Speaking of which, Chris Moutinho's wife is very mad at me for some reason.
Okay, well, have him come
I'll tell you later. It's a very, very funny story.
It don't even matter. Have him fight me, please. I'd love.
Oh, that'd be great. Too. Yeah, shout out.
But rolling further, like, the one thing I did notice actually that Zoo was doing right, also doing right. But he was putting it down the middle. Like if the hooks are coming wide, What's the easiest thing to do? Point A to B. Exactly, just like you're doing. And also shout out to that shirt because what a show. But you know, I just think like it was a very simple plan to win. It wasn't the easiest to do because it obviously was a dogfight. But as long as he stuck to the plan, he was going to end up winning that fight. And like we saw, right, he outlanded him by more than 2-1. So I mean, the proof's in the pudding, like you said. And shout out Mary. I had to beat you to it.
Man. Dude, as soon as I put this shirt on, I was like, you know what I love? Ian's going to be on the show today, and he will actually know what this is from. So,
oh, yeah. My teammates were on it.
Let's go, my guy.
We have like all the old gear, like all the Navy Street gear, like the virus.
Oh, that's so like sick.
We have all the homies have it. Like
that's so sick, dude.
Yeah, it's dope. It was a dope show.
That's one of the greatest mixed martial arts shows of all time. If you haven't watched Kingdom, definitely watch Kingdom.
Yeah, it probably is the best if we're calling a spade here.
That show made me more of a fan of the Jonas Brothers than any of their music actually ever did.
Same.
Which is wild.
Same. Maybe South Park might have done it when they did their episode on them, but outside of that was amazing.
You better get back on that stage.
Yeah, that was a A1 episode.
That was an incredible episode. Shout out Charlie in the chat. Rongzhu steel fight saved the card, in my opinion. Best fight by far. Hard to argue with that. Definitely hard to argue with that, my friend. Sav Jelly said, Olin, what? Yeah, I'll talk. I'll send you. I'll DM you. I don't want to air out the dirty laundry on the episode, but very, very funny stuff, in my opinion. Shots on Olin. Yeah, shots fired on Olin, if I'm being completely honest. But with that being said, folks, we got to talk just a little bit more about this man, this myth, this legend in Rongzhu. I got to ask you first before I take it away. Do you have any names on the tip of your tongue for who you would like to see him fight next?
At lightweight, and if I remember correctly, this is like his second fight in the UFC, right? That was the second?
Rongzhu?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. No. My friend, he actually made it to the UFC all the way back in April 2021. He fought against Rodrigo Vargas, got a loss on the unanimous decision there, and that was on UFC 261, Usman versus Masvidal 2. Then he fought Brandon Jenkins, got the win, which I believe was what got Brandon Jenkins out of the UFC. And then he fought Ignacio Bahamondes, lost via Bravo choke in round 3, got kicked out of the UFC, went to UAE Warriors, got a knockout in round 2, nasty stuff. And then he actually fought on Road to UFC, which we were just talking about.
I was looking at Iran. So
great way to build up for him. But yeah, it's his second fight back, I believe.
Yeah, which is crazy because he's 24.
Yeah, second fight back.
We talk about his like how
he's had 31 fights and he's like 23. Dude, it's insane.
And by the way, he turned pro in 2016.
Bro,
so if the math is mathing, he started fighting under 18.
Dude, when I literally said his record and then his age to Mare was like, did he start fighting at like right out of the womb, or was he at least 3 when he took his first professional fight?
Yeah. 2016. That was 9 years ago. So
dude,
wait, he had to be 15 taking his first pro fight then.
Well, I mean, Mike Tyson was 16 when he took his first pro fight, and he lied and went against, I believe, a 32-year-old.
Yeah, that was
which,
Mike,
folks, if you know combat sports, that's a child versus someone in their fight prime. What the actual F?
Yeah, no, I mean, well, Mike was more than just a child, but
I mean, that man was built different.
You know, it would be actually kind of fun if they put him actually against. Well, I know he's not back yet, or I think he's not back from his semi-retirement. But Brad Riddell would be fun. He needs to get back on his, back on his grind. He's on a couple fight loss streak, right, if I remember correctly, and it'd be a great stand-up banger.
That's not a bad call.
A 3-fight losing streak, right? Yeah. So, and he's gonna come back out of retirement eventually. I think he said it was coming up soon. So, let's get a banner.
That's not a bad one. That's not a bad one at all.
And he was already at that fight. He was in the corner of Wei Li.
Oh man, I actually had another name on the tip of my tongue. He's coming off of wait, sorry, who did you say one more time?
Brad Riddell.
Okay, cool. I was looking at the record of the guy I was talking about. And I was like, hold on, did I just blink? Was he saying the same guy as me? No, okay, cool. Coming off back-to-back losses as well. Drew Dober.
Oh, bro, I met him in person in Vegas.
He's so nice.
With my wife. Oh, wait. No. This wasn't the same time I saw you. But bro, I've never seen.
Wait, I think that was actually the same year that I met him in Vegas.
Yeah, no, that was the same time I met you.
Yeah, 23.
My wife. I was with my roommate Heber.
Yeah,
bro, what a chin! Like, actually, that thing was like the most jacked chin I've ever seen on him.
He has to do some kind of chin workouts. Like, it's incredible.
Yeah, no, I mean he was having a good time. I could tell from when I saw him, but I didn't want to bother him. But like, Jesus Christ! But yeah, that would be a good banner. Even putting Riddell against him, that would be fun.
Yeah, Drew Dober versus Riddell, I'm happy with. I mean, yeah, you could do a little menage a trois there. Any of those guys,
yeah,
in a 3-way cage match to the death. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of to the death, look, folks, I don't know if we have any like 90s, 2000s Disturbed fans in the room right now, but get up, come on, get down with the thickness. Went out there and made a name for himself as well. This dude is a beast.
I have to give
the slickness.
I have to give like a sorry to him on here. I've been watching him before even he was in the UFC, and turns out I was listening too closely to the Australian pronunciation, and I was calling him thick knees, but it's actually just thickness. And turns out I had been a little bit too much privy to the Australian accent there. But yeah,
thick knees.
You know what I will say though about this fight is, first off, from a technical aspect, that was a beautiful fight.
Yes.
In addition to it, I
from
think
both men. Both
100%,
men.
100%. They both used their game to their advantage, and it ended up being a great fight. I think we'll look back on this fight years from now and be like, damn, those two fought earlier in their careers in the UFC. But what I will say is that was interesting to me was the way Thickness was moving. I would prefer him actually, because he would pull, and then not do anything. His movement is very similar to mine in the sense. So
it's very herky-jerky.
Yes, but he's big.
Very herky-jerky.
He's more like a Corey Sandhagen than me in that sense, right? It's just the way he throws his punches like that. But what I will say is I thought he would pull him into more shots instead of just circling out. I thought he would circle, we call it Y steps, but like you take 2 steps back and then an angle. And then I thought he would blast him with a right, and he just never did that. And he was working on the leg kicks, right, as a city kick, or not city kickboxing, but kind of city kickboxing, more of a freestyle MMA guy, but still, the Volk style. And it ended up being very similar to Volk versus Ilya in that sense, because he was using the leg kicks, and then Alexander, or Ilya in that sense of the fight in Anaheim, was using his punches to gain ground and catch him. So, that was a fun one. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, man, that was a really fun one. And look, man, Thickness is an absolute beast. Shout out Charlie in the chat throwing heat right now. How would the fight have played out had Thick had a full camp and not 2 weeks? Man, let me tell you, the fight would have probably played out a little bit different. Real talk, Charlie. Yeah, I think that fight would have definitely played out a little bit differently had he had a full camp. And I love that you said Corey Sandhagen. While watching the fight, and I do this more often than I like to admit, but I'm like, if this fighter had a baby with this fighter, this would be this fighter. And what I came up with for this guy, Thickness, is Corey Sandhagen and Diego Sanchez had a child, and that's him. That's the guy. And you're laughing because it's true.
I'm just laughing because you said Diego Sanchez. That was not the name I was expecting.
But like the way that he throws shots, it reminded me in the weirdest way of Diego Sanchez. Like picking awkward angles, but landing, and like just being very unpredictable with his momentum and movement. And the slickness, which, pun intended, that's his nickname, that he presented, reminded me a lot of Corey Sandhagen, right? Like he looked very smooth, flowing on his feet when he's moving in there. and just very herky jerk style. There was one kid at AKA that I used to spar with that I genuinely hated sparring with because of that. Like, there was no rhyme to the rhythm. There was no methodology to it. It was just movement. And I was like, I don't know what way he's going to go. And that sucks. And then he'd hit me with a jab. So it was fun to watch for sure. It was a very entertaining fight. And honestly, watching it live, I thought Thickness did enough to get the win. For the most part, you know, like he was moving, he was elusive, but I digress. Just like with his brother, when you're fighting one of these Topuria guys, you really do have to be perfect, right? It's a simple fact. Because once he starts landing big power shots, and it just starts taking away from the overall momentum that you've built up otherwise throughout the fight. And that's pretty much what ended up happening there, right? Like, the bigger shots were obviously being landed at all times by Alexander. But I do think that Colby would have won this fight if he would have went more rather than thinking so much. And I think I'm going to throw up the comment again from Charlet. I think that comes a lot into play with what Charlet said. He had a 2-week fight camp, folks. He picked up this fight on 2 weeks' notice. There were a lot of these, by the way. Well, that's why a lot of you guys were talking so much shit about this one, saying, you know, this fight is a piece of garbage. It's a bull fight. It's going to be a piece of crap. But, you know, it's not the case. It's not the case. I actually enjoyed the fight card for the most part. I thought it was like 8 out of 10 as far as entertainment goes for a UFC card these days. No fight card is perfect, but this one was pretty damn fantastic. Now, Alexander Topuria is an absolute beast. I don't think he has the star power of his brother, right? Yet. But he could definitely build that up. Are you wanting to see him actually go in there against a top 15 fighter? Do you think he's ready for that? Or do you want to see him stay on the outside? Do you have a name on the tip of your tongue on the outside?
I'd stay on the outside. Actually, I don't know if he's. I'm just saying this for the pure entertainment aspect of it. Like, in my opinion, it probably doesn't make any sense. It literally doesn't make any sense, but because he has a fight, but a Ricky Simone fight would be interesting with those two. I just think that would be really interesting, like just from a personal aspect of like their styles clashing. Because like we say with the Topurias, your boxing has to be A1. Your boxing defense rather has to be A1. Against Alexander, your defensive grappling doesn't have to be as high as compared to Ilya when you fight him, because Ilya's grappling is just it. You know, if you watch Ilya before he was in the UFC, he was pure grappler, taking people down, submitting them, not really boxing much, if I'm going to be honest. And then you see the guy he is now, so it's just an interesting look. But what I will say is, if we're going to give him one outside, Davey fucking Grant. That's all I have to leave it at.
Ooh,
one of my favorite fighters of all time.
Damn, I hate that I like yours better than mine.
What is yours?
I was gonna say I like the Davey Grant one. I was gonna say Kyler Phillips.
Oh yeah.
I think that'd be a good test for him. I don't know that it'd be the most entertaining fight in the UFC, if that makes sense.
No, I agree with you. Who was the dude that everyone hates? Mario Batista.
Oh, that'd be mean of the UFC. That sounds like a good Dana move.
That sounds like a Dana move or a Hunter move.
That definitely
right?
sounds like a Dana move. I mean, and can we just talk about Hunter for a split second here? He just is doing the best Wish.com Tony Stark impression I've ever seen.
Oh my God.
It's so good.
It's incredible. It's honestly incredible. I don't get, like, he didn't get plastic surgery. He just came out the womb looking like Iron Man.
He just, I swear, like the first time I saw him, I was like, dude, does Dana have Iron Man on stage with him? And then I realized, I found out like who he is. I did research. I was like, oh, I mean, he is Tony Stark. Like, he's the guy behind the scenes. He's just, like, Dana's the iron suit. He's just telling him what to do.
Yeah, no, 100%. He really is the man behind it all. So, yeah.
Yeah, if you watch the documentaries and things like that, you definitely know Hunter Campbell is, he's the guy. Making the walk here. I think we see another level from Alexander Topuria in his next fight. I think he was hesitant because it was his first time. Well, making the walk, as much as I don't want to agree with you, I have to agree with you because Ian, look, making the walk, look, Charlet, everybody in the chat, listen, we're all a little bit hesitant and nervous on our first time. facts. So yeah, I think he was a little bit hesitant on his first time.
I wish we could do like a guest, like kind of bring them in real quick for this next fight, because I just really want our boy Dixon just to be in for this to talk about.
Oh gosh,
I'll sit this one out because I want him to talk about this.
Dixon Sider, if you want the link, bro, shoot me a message, shoot me a DM on Instagram or Twitter. I'll send you a link to get you on here, because I know you're dying to talk about this next one. We had a women's flyweight bout between Bruna Brazil coming in against Wong Kong, which I feel like everybody was just kind of shitting on Wong Kong. You know, she came in there, she was a little bit cocky in that last fight, got a little bit ahead of herself. And as a wise man once said, sometimes you have to check yourself before you wreck yourself. And she did that this time. I feel like it was a fairly dominant fight against Bruna Brazil for her. And I mean, the stats would say the same thing here, Ian. 104 to 31 in total strikes landed. 103 to 31 in significant strikes landed, and 2-0, as we say about football, when it came to the takedowns. All in favor of Wong Kong. Oh, man. Let's go for that. She is an absolute beast, bro. I will be watching this gal. Fun fact, she's the reason I am in first for our fantasy league, because she was my women's flyweight pick. Oh, man. Choice. I didn't think so either. I felt like a lot of people were overlooking her. I think I got her like 9 rounds in because of that. So,
yeah.
Shout out.
No, and plus, most people don't know who she is, right? Because she hasn't had the exposure yet.
Let me tell you, I thought I'd be able to get Jasmine the same way. You know, good old Jasmine.
Yes,
because I got her late in the first draft that we did of this fantasy, and man, I invited a couple of people that I didn't even think really watched like that. And like 2-3 rounds in, I hear, I'll take Jasmine. How do you say her last name? Is Jasmine?
Yes, I
was like, you fucker. And I think she scored the most points out of anybody that's gone yet. So
yeah. Oh,
fuck
really?
that guy.
Okay. Yeah. No. I mean, yeah, nobody cared about me until, the scars.
You know what I'm saying? So dude, yeah, I'm high on Wong Kong. I can't wait to see what she does next. And I thought that this was a masterclass from her. Did you learn anything new? Did anything stand out in her game to you?
No, but I will have to give credit. It like literally has nothing to do with the actual fight. But I will give credit to Brazil for wearing the Batman mask, because that shit was hilarious.
The Batman versus Joker stare down, and she wore the Fighting Nerds glasses over it. Oh, chef's kiss.
Yeah, that was great. Other than that, I have really not much to add. The stats speak for themselves. Just even the commentators did a great job kind of summing it up for us. So on the card, rather, it's just too much.
I'm actually glad that you brought that up, because let me tell you, I felt like there was some bias in the commentary, and usually I think they do a good job towing the line. The first 1.5, maybe 2 rounds, I mean, they were just glazing Bruna Brazil. I get it. I love the Fighting Nerds too. MMA Gym of the Year, if you ask me. But she was not winning that fight at any point in time. And they were talking about how, she's eating that lead leg up. She had landed half as many leg kicks at that point in the fight as Wong Kong had. So, come on, guys. Let's just call it as we see it here.
But, if we're going to talk about bias, and let's, commentary bias, we have to take another little trip around to your side of the town. Not you, personally, but DC and, and anyone from AKA. I mean,
Dagestani DC?
Anyone from AKA. It is a full-on
brother. Listen. We got to take this guy's microphone.
It is just incredible. Sometimes I'm just like, are we watching the same thing, my guy? Are we watching the same thing? But I digress. I'm
not disagreeing with you on that. I am not disagreeing with you on that. And I think I maybe don't notice it as much because I like the AKA guys the same way. But in this one, because I did obviously have a dog in the race for the fantasy, but I like both of these women. But watching the fight, I was like, bro, how in which world are you watching this fight and saying, man, Bruna's really tearing up that lead leg. Wong's going to have to change something up. Bruna has landed 2 kicks. Wong has landed 7. What are we even doing here, bro? Like, come on.
And it wasn't like a staggering kick too. Like, you know how like sometimes you'll hit
No.
like a nice calf kick and their leg just
And you'll
kinda
see the
lifts
leg
out.
lift off the line from it or
Yeah.
something. Like that never happened at any point in time, bro.
No, I agree with you 100%. I thought that one was just, it was just them reaching, trying to give her something, I feel. Like, because they were talking about Wayne Khan so much. But, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know, there's something to keep in mind, right? Like, they have to do their job to a degree, right? So, but yeah, I mean, not much else to add.
Yeah.
But what I will say is leading into this next fight, I did exactly what you said. So I had my wife choose. Well, I went late, so it was mid card.
Let's go.
I had her pick some fighters, and guess who her first pick was?
Uh-oh.
Mr. Nolan, Tom Nolan.
Tom Nolan, baby.
And because her brother's name is Nolan, but ended up she was right.
Let's go.
She was right. She's on the couch right over there, and I see her smiling her ass off right now.
I mean, look, dude, the name Nolan, I got to be honest with you. I love at least 90% of that name. No bias there.
Nolan
With my
Ryan,
name being Olin.
Just to answer why. Plus Nolan Ryan, you would love that guy.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah, he was one of the best pitchers in baseball, and he would fucking fight mid-game anytime. He
I was going to say, I know the name. That definitely rings a bell. Now I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
So you know, he would fit in with us, but no, that Tom Nolan fight was really interesting actually, because he literally didn't listen to anything we said. Not even remotely. He was like, let's just go into the deep waters of his best game. And he still won, don't get me wrong.
Just test him.
But I mean, as a fan, thank you. But like, as a fellow fighter, bro, what the fuck?
What are you doing for your career, bro? Like, win the fight the way that you're
seriously.
best at winning the fight.
But, you know, like, I will say the only other thing I did take from this fight is Slavis Claus, or whatever however you say it.
Slava Claus?
Thank you. He's getting caught. That's the way. That's what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on this fight? I'm interested, like, as someone with your perspective on this.
So I'll be honest with you. This fight went almost exactly as I thought it would from a skill parity or disparity perspective. But from a game plan perspective, like you said, like this is not what we talked about, folks. This is not the game plan we told Tom. Before I even talk about fight analytics, I got to tell you something though. Like, as someone who grew up in born in Florida, mostly raised in Louisiana, I had a mullet growing up for some time, and because of that, like I loathe mullets. I wasn't a fan of my own. Tom Nolan is one of maybe 3 people I've ever seen in my entire life that when I look at him, I'm like, wow, the mullet is actually meant for that man. It just looks perfect on him, man. Like he looks like a guy that was born to rock that mullet. So shout out to Tom Nolan and the mightiest mullet I may have ever seen. And we had 2 of them on the card, folks. And the other guy on the card that had a mullet, fun fact, he's another one of those 3 that I think needs a mullet. The one time that I saw him without it, I was like, oh, dude, where'd the mullet go? He needs that. He look better with the mullet. So going back to Tom Nolan here, folks, he was just moving forward. Taking the best shots that Vyacheslav Borchev could throw. And Vyacheslav actually had one of his best fights in the UFC, in my opinion, here. And I say that with all due respect, because it's a fight that he lost. But he still went out there and he was game. He was going for it. He was doing the right things. Except he never even shot one takedown. That's tough. Right? Like, Tom Nolan shot 8. He only landed 1, but he still shot 8 times. And I think at least 3 or 4 of those, he literally shot. Thanks, wifey. Good looking out with the light.
How did you know? You got a shout out. He said, thanks, wifey, for turning the light out.
I was trying to see that handsome face this whole time. It's like, is it my glasses? What's happening?
I was going to say, I'm pretty white, though. So, like, even so, like, you're still going to be able to see my ass.
Oh, yeah. I can still see you.
They even
But it's better.
mentioned
It's
that
better
on
in
the
HD
card.
now. What's that?
They mentioned about us being, like, super white people bruising up. Remember how we talked about it on the
Dude,
original?
yes.
On the original podcast?
Yes.
And now here we are, and they said about Giuseppe. I'm sorry, I just remembered that right now.
That was
I was
hella
like, holy
funny.
shit. Yes. I was like, oh, and
Dude, they literally mentioned it. I was like, it's true. It's actually a fact. Like, the whiter you are, the paler you are, like, the more we're going to see those bruises. And, like, it's like one calf kick, and you're like, oh, he's done. Look at that thing. It's nasty looking. It's like, no, that's just like he'd look that way if he like bumped his leg on a pillar or something. Like
100%.
It's just how it is.
I mean, yeah, it's just it's a way of life.
It is a way of life. So yeah, I mean, again, this fight was Tom Nolan. It was the Tom Nolan show. I thought he did just enough every single round to win the round. Nothing more, nothing less. It was not the most exciting fight on the entire card by any means, but a win is a win is a win is a win, folks. And I will definitely take it. I will definitely take that win. Oh, so we actually got a question in the chat here. What was the worst fight on the card? I mean, I would say the worst fight on the card was, man.
I saw the name coming out of your mouth. I just saw it. I knew which one it was.
It's tough. It's tough. I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna think about it. I need to sit. I need to sit on that and think about it. Huh?
I'll say the Jimmy Crute fight for me.
Yeah.
I just thought technically it wasn't that great.
It was the sloppiest fight. That's what I almost said.
It was. Just,
I literally was gonna go
just,
Bellotto.
Like it just. I don't know. It didn't get my juices flowing. No pun intended. But
and with all due respect, it is a light heavyweight fight, right? Like these guys are very large guys and they gas very quickly. And I think the worst thing about it was the fact that it was a draw. Like I don't think it should have been a draw. I thought Jimmy did enough to win that fight.
Yeah, especially I don't know. It was just like it was very lackluster. I think is kind of like what you're saying as well. Like it was just like It's like how I felt at the end. I was like,
Yeah. But we'll get into that fight in about 4 more of them. Right now, we're talking about Tom Nolan at the lightweight division. And I got to be honest with you. Again, the dude impressed me. He looked pretty damn good in there. And if we want to put two guys against each other that have the same trajectory, that are both coming off big wins, you could put Tom Nolan in there against a Rong Zhu, if I'm not being too crazy right now.
Yeah, actually, that might be. And the if we're going to talk about it, because, fighters are usually on like schedules, we'll say, right? That their schedules match up in regards to their availability. So, yeah, that actually would be really interesting. I'm here for that.
They fought on the same night. I don't think either of them is in the top 30 currently on Tapology rankings. So one more win, like a win over a guy like each other, would probably pull both of them right into that top 30 area. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and move into the next one. It was one that I was sad about. We had Gabriel Santos coming in against Jack Jenkins. Kind of glad my bookie was out of town because I would have smashed that underdog line on Jack Jenkins, and I would have been upset, folks. It would have been the opposite of a day at the bank. But I digress. I still threw the man on a couple of parlays, which didn't do me any favors because Jack Jenkins went out there and I'll be honest, I don't know. I don't really know what the game plan was for him. He was doing a lot of kind of un-Jack Jenkins-like stuff, in my opinion. 14% of the strikes he landed were clinch strikes. 47% of the strikes he landed were grounded strikes. I mean, he was not working the distance strikes at all. He was not throwing the leg kicks as he needed to. And realistically, he was not utilizing footwork in any way, shape, or form throughout this fight. And his opponent was capitalizing on all of the above. So that's why we saw Gabriel Santos come out there and dictate the pace of this fight. He outlanded his opponent almost 3-1 in totality as far as strikes goes, and he outlanded him 39-34 in terms of significant strikes. So the man who was throwing the more significant strikes as far as when he was going to hurt him was Jack Jenkins. But that's not always the man who wins the fight, right? We just talked about this 3 or 4 fights ago, and the fact that Nick Diaz can come out here and if he throws 100 strikes, 80 to 5 of them are probably going to be like these little guys that do nothing. But 15 to 20 of them are going to make you be like, wait, what the fuck was that? What just hit me? He has that? He hasn't done that at all. What's happening? It makes you second guess. And then you start trying to overcompensate and over-defend all these little baby pitter-patters, and the big one snaps right through your guard, and you're very confused and you're very concussed in a short while.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that your analysis on that was like 100%. The only thing I can add to that in reality is there's this thing that one of my training partners, him, Aiden, and I, we call it Pohada mode. So basically, like Brazilian fighters, when there's this one moment in the fight. It's whether it's in the first round or the last round. There's this one little spurt of energy for the whole round where they're just guns blazing. He had that. I mean, the kick. I mean, the way he just jumped on him like a goddamn boa constrictor. It was all in there. I mean, he really showed his prowess on the feet and the ground, which I think, once again, we were talking about marketing and brand exposure earlier. That was it. You know what I mean? Like that was great way to show your skills and get the finish still too. While still, adding some hype to it with some wild shit that went on in that fight. So, I think his stock skyrocketed, especially since it was Jack Jenkins.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I just had to look up what his nickname means because his nickname is Mosquitinho. And I just assumed, my American ass, that it means like mosquito, right? But even worse, it means little fly or gnat, which is exactly what he was in this fight. It's kind of a perfect nickname, dude. He was literally on Jack Jenkins like a little fly. Just even the shots that weren't hurting him, he was annoying him the whole time. And that's a great nickname for him, man. Sometimes these guys come along and you just know, like, oh, his coach watched him for like 25 minutes and was like, oh, I got a nickname for this guy and it's going to stick. And he said it. You just know he said it. And the guy was like, what the fuck? That's what you're going to give me? And then the 20 guys he just railed in training are like, that's perfect. That's his nickname. That's him. Mosquitinho. Yeah, fucking guy. Those are the best nicknames.
I believe it.
Those are the best nicknames. Like Darren the Damaged Elkins. Like, you don't know much about how the fight's going to go, but you know win, lose, or draw, the man's going to take damage. They're just nicknames that make sense, man.
Yeah. And, kind of leaning into what we've said in the past, right, about like who we put them up against next. I just had two pulled up that I think would be interesting. One of them would be very big for the UFC too. But I'll go with the shorter one on the first one, which would be Hakeem Dawodu. That would be a fun one. And then the second one, which would be fucking insane, because I'm on Tapology with the way they do their rankings, since it's not based upon, one promotion. Man, that's only 4 above him. Patricio Pitbull. He's a free agent. Let's get it going.
I seriously was going to say Patricio Pitbull or Billy Quarantillo.
Oh, well,
I love the Patricio Pitbull one. We're hive minding on that. He's not even in the fucking UFC. I love that you said that name.
He's going to be. He will
be. It's not a matter of if, just a matter of when.
He's not going anywhere else. One's going to fold, in my opinion. PFL he already hates them. And GFL, I don't even know if they'll ever have an event. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's just something to keep in mind. Like, with the current climate of MMA and where these free agents are going to go. Like Nemkov too, like those guys, like, you know what I mean? Like, where are they going to go other than the UFC?
Look, man, GFL will have an event. There is like a 50-50 shot that it will be 100% AI generated, but they will have an event, Ian. I believe that.
If there's anything AI related again in MMA, I'm just walking out of the room at this point. I'm just done.
Did you hear the news today? Luke Rockhold got traded in the GFL.
Oh, he went from what? Like
he went from the Abu Dhabi team. He went from the AKA team to LA. Yeah, so that way they can make the Weidman rematch.
Also, because he's in California, like he's in my gym all the time. So
so he's Team LA, and now they're gonna make the Weidman fight. And then they also asked him like who else he'd like to see that's not currently on the roster that he'd love to fight. He said Darren Till.
Okay, well. Darren Till's taking big money boxing fights, so you know what I mean.
Yeah, let's see how much money GFL has.
Yeah, like let's see the Bucks. Let's see the Bucks run it up. But I actually got in touch with the GFL, but no, I'm not signing for them. Don't worry.
Yeah, no. Be careful, bud.
Yeah,
be careful out there.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. At least let us see a couple of events before you make any decisions there. Speaking of making decisions, man. Jake Matthews coming in against Francisco Prado. What an absolute banger of a welterweight matchup. Jake Matthews, the Celtic Kid. I think he has to change his nickname now to the Celtic Man because, I mean, he is an absolute man. He is a beefcake of a man. And I think this. He's been in the UFC for like a decade at this point. Yeah, I remember watching his season of Tough, and he was a child when he came in. Like, he looked like Justin Bieber. Literally, like, me and my significant other called him Buffed and Bieber when he was on Tough. Swear. Because he had that face. Who wins now, Weidman or Rockhold? I still got Rockhold. I think Rockhold's got his number, unfortunately. And I say that with, Weidman having poured me a shot like 3 weeks ago in LA. So I digress. Jake Matthews is an absolute stud of a human being, and he's an even more of a stud in the octagon. Francisco Prado is a guy that just came up in weight class to fight him. Not to fight him, but just for his career in general. I will tell you, I thought Prado did very well in the first round. And then every round after that, he just seemed to lose speed. And I don't know how much of that was on Prado and how much of that was on Jake Matthews coming in and almost giving him the first round so that he could download data himself and then just start opening up. Biggest thing to note from me before I pass it off is the rips to the body. The hooks to the body that he was throwing, they were just absolutely disgusting, man. And the way he was mixing them in, like, he'd post and then bah, bah, and then just dart out. Like, I mean, as a Muay Thai guy, like, I was way too excited watching that fight. I'll be completely honest with you. It was very visually appealing for me. And I feel that way 9 out of 10 times that Jake Matthews fights. So I'd like to see him continue stringing them together, keep on going with kind of get a run going in this division, because I think if he can stay consistent, he can actually build a title run for himself. But he has to stay consistent. And in recent years, it's just been tough for him to do that. But again, I think welterweight is one of those divisions that outside of the top like 3 to 5, it's pretty wide open.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, your analysis was A1 right there. Like you said, right? Money in the bank, especially with with the body shots and whatnot. I honestly, I think it went kind of the way we even said on the podcast on Friday. Almost down to the T, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. But the one thing I didn't expect was all the shots out of Prado. Out of 6 shots, I didn't expect that out of him, to be honest. But other than that, like, it went exactly the way we said. So go us.
Yeah, we hit the hammer, or we hit the nail on the head there with the hammer. And I will say that even the 6 shots, like, the only thing that we didn't really call, those were like desperation shots for the most part. Like, the first one was kind of clean, but after that, like, he was just really shooting for the wind. And we'll talk about some desperation shots when we get into the co-main event, folks, for sure.
Yeah, he was panicking for sure.
Yeah, those were some panicking shots. Do you have a name on the tip of your tongue for Jake Matthews when it comes to what's next for him?
So I'm just going to put this into perspective, right? Since we just talked about Tapology, they had him at 26. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that is because there's a gentleman 2 above him that I think would be interesting. And I know for sure, for some reason in my head, that it's the guy you're thinking of. I don't know exactly, but like there's just some weird inclination. And that's going to be Ponzinibbio.
The Ponzi scheme. I'm not mad at it.
Exactly. Or chaos.
I am not mad at the Ponzi scheme. I had Neil the Haitian Sensation Magny.
Yeah, he does keep at, or is he the one that was asking for him?
I don't know if he was asking for him, but either way, I'm happy with it.
No, it's like 4 fights in a row he's asked for Neil Magny. After each win, he's
then let's fucking go.
Magny. I'm glad that you did.
I think that's a great fight stylistically for Jake.
Yeah, and
I think that's a great stylistic fight for Jake.
Yeah, and the one thing that Neil Magny does is he'll out cardio you any day of the week. He's the cardio king of the UFC, so like that's how he wins a lot of his fights with these guys. Like that Canadian cat, I forgot what his name is, Mike Malott. He just outlasted him in that fight. But
proper Mike.
Yeah, that'd be a fun one, especially with his range compared to Jake. He's a big guy, so I would love to see that one. I actually like yours way more than mine. I'll give you that.
Let's go. I had to get one back. You like slaughtered me earlier with your pick. So yeah, I mean, I love that pick. I think it's a good one, and he's been calling for him, like you said. So that adds some fire to it.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And with that being said, folks, we are going to move right on into the next one. We had a light heavyweight bout between Jimmy the Brute Crute and Rodolfo Bellato. Oh, man. I'm going to let you take the lead on this one. I'm just going to drink a couple more sips of whiskey so I can get prepared to talk about this fight.
Yeah, honestly, I need a fucking drink after watching this fight. It felt weird, if I'm going to be honest. It was just a very odd fight. It was like very standstill at some points, a lot of firepower at some points, and then they both would just stare at each other. And again, I don't know. Like, I usually like watching Jimmy Crute fight, which is why I was a little shocked at this. I don't know, maybe if it's once again him coming back from his hiatus or what it may be. Maybe it was a mental thing, because I know, like, I've had mental issues in the past with some of my fights, with anxiety and you know, working with your nerves and stuff like that. Maybe it was that, just the time off, or I don't know what it was, but that wasn't the Jimmy Crute I'm used to watching. So I just felt odd overall as a fan, as a fighter as well. Like, just very odd to me. I mean, as someone, you know, that's you probably watched more MMA than me overall. What is your take on this? Just because, I mean, you've seen him too, a bunch.
Yeah, I mean, this was a weird fight. It's a fight in which Jimmy Crute, like, let's talk about it. Like, he retired for all of like 8 minutes, and then he instead decided to take some time off. He took an elongated amount of time off. I think it was like 16 or 18 months, and then he came back to this fight against Rodolfo Bellato, who's a very dangerous guy. But again, this fight was very, very weird. I thought Jimmy was going to get him out in that first round. I really thought he was. He looked like he had Rodolfo hurt, and then it went to a second round, right? And let's just talk about that. The first round, we had 59-4 in total strikes landed. 27-1 in significant strikes landed, and 3 minutes and 52 seconds of control time for Jimmy Crute. That's a 10-8 round. If I've ever seen one, that's a 10-8 round. In the next round, we had 46-48 total strikes, 46-48 significant strikes. 0 takedowns, 0 control time. Last round, we had 34-43 significant strikes, 33-40 in total strikes, right? So, I mean, with all due respect, round 1, 10-8, Jimmy Crute. Round 2, draw. Round 3, Rodolfo Bellato. That's a fucking Jimmy Crute win, bro. It's clean cut.
Yeah, but
like let's not joke here. If we're doing 10-8 rounds, let's do 10-8 rounds.
So that's been the biggest issue for a while right now, is what is a 10-8 round, right? Because like
39-1.
Well, I agree with you, but you know what I'm saying though is like a lot of
yeah, I do. Unfortunately,
right now is they gave qualifications for what a 10-8 round should be, right? And then these judges are just absolutely saying, "Nah, fuck that. We're doing our own way." When I don't know, I have a lot of beef with judges to begin with, but that's besides the
same.
point.
I mean, you should have way more beef than I do with judges because they dictate your fucking career.
Well, not even
like
just
for me,
that.
they just piss me off whenever I lose a bet.
No, I mean they fucked me before, especially the ones in Miami when I got bit twice in a fight. But that's a story for another
I remember
time.
that. Remember that.
But
unfortunately, you didn't have Dana White give you $50K and buy you a tattoo that says "I got fucking bit."
Yeah, trust me, I would do it. You would see it. You would see it on my back, both tattoos, since they're on both sides. But yeah, I don't know what the whole thought process was of those judges. But nonetheless, right? It wasn't that great of a fight.
It wasn't a great fight, but I still thought it was clean cut. I thought round one was as like round 1 was a 10-8 round. If I've ever seen a 10-8 round, that was a 10-8 round.
No, it should have been a 10-8. I agree, but you know, it's just odd. I don't know. Something always.
It was the whole fight was odd. The whole fight was very, very odd. Like, is the elevation weird there? Like, what was happening? And before you jump into that, what up, crossover? How you doing, my guy? Always happy to see you in the chat. Hope you're having a blessed Monday, and I hope you have an even better week. Man, speaking of someone who is having a great freaking week, though. Oh, dude. We're not going to play matchmaker for Jimmy Crute. We're not going to tell you what we think should be next for him. Or Rodolfo Bellato, because, you know, we don't have a winner in this one. But we definitely had a definitive winner in the next one, and it didn't even take 40 seconds, folks. We had Taliesin Teixeira coming in against Justin Badman Tafa. Oh, man. today he's probably sad man Tafa because that fight was big time tough. And Teixeira, just, I mean, what a guy. What a guy. Do you think it was just a stylistic thing that set that up to be as brutal as it was? Or do you think he might be the next big thing at heavyweight, Ian?
I think we need to give him at least, or we need to see one more fight, right? Just to be assured. But if we're going off of the looks of what I just saw, holy shit, we got another big hitter. You know what I mean? And, you know, we got guys like Derek Lewis already, you know, the one-hit killers like that. And, you know, Mark Hunt, you know, even before that, the king of the walk-off himself.
I was about to unmute to say king of the walk-off. King guy.
You know what? Actually, one of my favorite Mark Hunt things was from the Conor McGregor movie, the first one, and they were talking about how he knocks him out, walks off, and he goes, "Watch, he's gonna thank Jesus first. He's gonna thank Jesus first." It's one of my favorite scenes of it's.
That's
it's
hella
so funny because Jesus loves knockouts, but
Jesus does love knockouts. I think it's a fact.
It's a rumor. It's what the rumor is. But you know, yeah. Once again, if this is like the same thing that we're seeing in this fight and the next one, then yeah, we got a potential star on our hands. If he can learn it, I don't remember actually for sure, but don't remember him knowing English. But if he does learn English, he could become a fucking star.
Like very, very little. I think he knows like 15 words probably max. I haven't heard him speak a ton of it. Yeah, if he can learn English, he'll be a superstar. But if he doesn't learn a single word and he keeps knocking people dead like that, I think he still is an absolute star in the making here.
Yeah, he's like a Pereira, right? Barely knows English, a couple words here and there. Or he could be the what the rumor is from this past weekend, Charles Oliveira probably knows English, and he's doing the Anderson Silva.
There you go. There you go, man.
That's the rumor on the streets.
Yeah. I mean, for me, first I'll ask you, do you have any names on the tip of your tongue for him?
For Teixeira or for Tafa?
For Teixeira. For Teixeira.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're talking, you know, is he, what's his name? Shuey.
He's very large right now and very out of shape. They asked him if he was planning on fighting again, and he said, "Well, I got to make it back to the gym first, huh, mate?"
Jesus. Okay, so we got
like
a long way to go.
He's probably got 40 pounds to cut to make the 265 cutoff.
Got you. You know, heavyweight's an odd one for me just because it's such a stylistically different, you know, different weight division. Like they're unlike any other weight division because of the way people fight in it.
Facts. And it's all like it's the biggest puncher's chance division in the world, right? I do have two names on the tip of my tongue. Tell me if you like these. So I got Dontel Mays.
Oh.
And I got Yonata Denise.
I like that first one.
I like the Dontel Mays one better. But
Yeah,
Yonata Denise is sitting at number 20 currently on Tapology. And I think if we want to give this guy more of a push, that would be a more fun fight. Because Yonata has 7 wins by knockout and 1 decision in his 8 wins.
No, I'll take that.
And his only loss is by knockout. So something tells me that one guy is going to literally just go out there and be flat on the canvas for 2 minutes at the end of that fight.
Let's give you the matchmaking stripes. So, you know, they did it with Joe Silva. Let's give it to you now.
Let's go. Please give me my chance. I promise I will put on bangers.
Banners only.
Banners only, bro. Only Banners League. Dude, I think Yonata Denise is a fun matchup for this kid. And with that being said, folks, without further ado,
It's time
for us to move into the co-main event of the evening, folks. It was a bout between Zhang Weili and Tatiana Suarez. And man, oh, was it a bout for the ages. And by bout for the ages, I mean it was one-way traffic. And Tatiana Suarez simply did not see the street signs. And just she drove the wrong way on that street. She got flatlined, folks. It was tough. I'll take the lead on this one, then I'll pass it to you. I came into this thinking Zhang Weili was going to be a winner. She was an underdog, which is probably the last time we'll ever get her as an underdog. So sad that I didn't have the ability to bet the straight line on that one this week. But we'll be back. We'll be back, baby. And look, she did exactly what she wanted to do in this fight, and I knew that she would. I knew she was going to make this fight a dirty one and be able to do pretty much whatever she wanted to. 232 strikes landed to 63, folks. Tatiana Suarez got a great takedown in the beginning of round number 1. She stayed on top for 3 minutes and 8 seconds. She landed 0 significant strikes in that 3 minutes and 8 seconds, even though she landed 23 strikes. And then in the next round, she got 1 minute and 27 seconds of control time. 0 significant strikes. That's right, folks. We're 2 rounds in, and there's 0 significant strikes from Tatiana Suarez. Round number 3, 44 seconds of control time for the young lady. 8 significant strikes. She started realizing then, when she went 0 for 5 on takedown attempts, that this was going to probably be a stand-up fight. She was going to have to start throwing lead. And when she did start throwing lead, she started eating lead on the returning end. The counters, the footwork, the range control, distance management of all of it proved to just be too much for Tatiana Suarez in the end. And the fight just continued to lean more and more out of her control. I mean, this was just an absolute masterclass from Zhang Weili. I think she did everything that she needed to do right after that first round and second round, 1.5 rounds in. But man, I really don't think anything shocked me in this outside of the fact that Tatiana didn't do as good as I thought she should have done. Ian, what shocked you? Tell us what you learned.
So we were talking about this actually before we even started the podcast. So I'm just kind of gotta jump into my thoughts on this, right? And I may overlap some of ones you've already made, but I need my rant. So, but basically, here's what I look at it as. I will be shocked if something doesn't come out about Tatiana being injured of some sort going into this fight. Reason being, there was 2 significant points where I thought, okay, I think there's something wrong. And one of my buddies who's actually good friend or knows her from training out here and whatnot said the same thing. So first and foremost, on her shots, just like Trollstar actually was talking about, she was kind of diving on them, right? And she would, drive, take her to the cage and try to go body lock and then try to trip or, something like that. What I did notice is that she wasn't chain wrestling, which is very odd for someone that was, going to the Olympics, especially as this, right? So I'll even go step by step from what I thought she should have done in regards to exactly when she drove her up to the cage and got her hands locked around the body. She should have gotten her hips in front, try to bring her over. And if she doesn't go and takes that step forward but doesn't go with you, then you just move your back leg to behind them and just take them backwards, which she did on the first one, right? She 100% did that on the first takedown. She got that 3 minutes and 8 seconds of control time. Where was that the rest of the fight? Because you can chain that back and forth over and over again until you do take them down. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, well, not in regards to the injury, but second thing I think that was very significant, more or less, was something you brought up a little bit earlier, was when she started to toss in the third, right, she was getting hit. The reason being for that is in the Bain Muay Thai system, and a lot of systems nonetheless, we call it moving your head offline, right? So when you throw across, your head is not going to stay the same place because they're going to expect that when they counter. So you're going to move your head offline and throw your punch. And then to kind of finish it off on a third point, and my final one, is I also thought the mix of everything was not great in regards to striking, so that they're not worried about the takedown, get their hands up here so that they can't get their hands down to defend the takedown. Exactly like what you just did, right? Jab, cross, hook, shot. For her, it was maybe a jab and a shot. Very,
or if you're Rashad Evans and you have the golden gift of God's fucking blast double, you just throw that pump double jab and through somebody like he did against Rampage. That is still one of my favorite sequences to go back and watch. And I know people don't love that fight, but that fight was brilliant from Rashad.
Yeah, technical standpoint of it all. The one thing I will give a shout out to, though, is the Hickman brothers. They deserve all the credit from this fight off of Bailey's amazing takedown defense. One thing I did see her do.
And real quick, I got to jump in here. She had a new training partner for this camp. All right. And her training partner shouted her out in her last fight. She also got, I think, the most points of anybody in our fantasy UFC league right now. That is the one, the only Jasmine.
Yes, David.
AKA, as we like to call her here on the MMAnomaly Show, No Filter, She SP, folks.
Yeah, exactly. And, the way she was, off of the initial shot, she would sprawl and move the head to the other side so that they had to work back and then get to initial shot again and then, work from there. But, it was a masterclass. We all know what's going to happen now, too. Dana said it after the fight. We know she's going to fight Valentino, so...
Or Manon. Can we not count out Manon?
Who?
Manon Fior. Come on, brother.
Exactly. Who?
Brother. You need me to change it to some Paris music right now? I can change it to some Paris music. Let's see. What do we got here?
I'll bring out the electric...
Talking about Manon.
The electric wallet.
Manon.
Paris. I just see money when it comes to this fight, so that's why I bring that up.
It's a Manon win and a croissant, brother.
Croissant.
Croissant. No, I'm saying that condescendingly and also seriously, Juice, because with all due respect, I think Manon is a really gifted fighter, and I think she might be the one that's here to ruin a lot of people's parlay and ruin a lot of people's paydays. And by a lot of people, I'm looking at Dana White and Hunter Campbell because I know that's the fight they want. They want Valentina Shevchenko. And if I'm Iron Man, right? If I'm sitting at the top of Avengers Tower, just signing these UFC checks, talking about Hunter Campbell, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cancel the Manon fight.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
I'm going to cancel it and say that there was a pullout on somebody's side. And then, oh, well, look at that. Next month. Now we've got Valentina versus Zhang Weili.
100% that's what's going to happen. And they're going to pay out the person who pulled out.
Manon will get a fat paycheck, and she'll say, I am nursing an ankle injury. And that's that.
And then they'll give her the backup, what do they call it? The backup fighter pay.
The backup fighter slot?
Show money.
Yep.
Yeah, so they won't give it to her for that fight, but they'll give her the money that she would have made being it.
Yeah.
Obviously because of the pullout, right? Or something like that. And once again, we're being really conspiracy here, but, get our...
We're all about it, though, bro. We're all about it.
Yeah, exactly. But, I don't see any fight outside of that happening.
Yeah.
Point blank.
Same. I just posted the link in the chat here, folks, for anybody that wants to read all about it. I did type up a little article. It's got a lot of my opinions that I'm going over in this episode in there. And it's exactly what I said in that. I said, what's next? Well, the logical next step for Zhang is to move up to flyweight and face the winner of the upcoming showdown between Valentina Shevchenko and Manon Fior. A fight between Zhang and Shevchenko has been a long dreamed of match for fans. And with both fighters dominating in their respective divisions, this match is likely the next big thing in women's MMA. Just like I typed it up, folks, I'm saying it with conviction because I mean it. I truly believe that that's just the next fight for these folks. And it does have fireworks written all over it. Sign me the hell up for it. And with that being said, folks, it's time. It is time. I'll cue up Bruce one more time.
It's time!
For the main event of the evening, we had Dricus du Plessis, a.k.a. DDP, a.k.a. Still Knox, a.k.a. probably your mom's favorite fighter, coming in against Sean Strickland, folks. This guy is an absolute beast, and I'm only saying that because I know your mom probably watched The Masked Singer, South African edition.
You already know.
You know what I'm saying? I knew it. And shout out to DDP for liking my story post about The Masked Singer with him on it the other day. That was hilarious and made my day.
He actually
dude has a great voice.
Though. Like,
dude, exactly. He's a great voice.
Like, he really does have a good voice. Like, hey, make fun of him all you want that he was on that show, but you cannot make fun of his voice because that man can sing.
As someone who wholeheartedly trusts my significant other, I would not ever choose to leave her in a room with him alone. I'm just saying that. Like, he's very charming. He looks better than I look, and he's got a fucking great voice. So it's a no from me, dog. All right, it's a no from me, as Randy Jackson would say.
Don't sell yourself short. Don't sell yourself short. All right.
Oh, stop it! You're making me blush.
Valentine's Day is coming up. All right, we gotta butter them up.
My guy. Did Christmas come early right now? Sheesh.
Stop it.
Stop it. Oh man, I'll let you take the lead on this one. Tell us how you felt about Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis. What were your thoughts? Did anything stand out or surprise you?
The word was shut out. That would be the theme of this. If I had to, for each fight, in my mind, I give themes of like what happened with like a one-word explanation. That was a absolute shutout. It was basically a continuation of the first fight, if I'm going to be honest. And I'm talking about the point where Sean's nose got broken the first fight, or the headbutt in that first fight. And it was just almost like the fight just continued and they didn't take any time off. It was just a masterclass. What I will say that I thought was hilarious was I don't know if you saw the leaked video or whatever of them talking in the back to each other, just like so buddy, but he was like,
yeah, it wasn't a headbutt.
He said that, and then he said that DDP was saying in his head when Sean was trying to reset it,
he was resetting it the wrong way.
Wrong way, exactly. And he was like, bro, I was going to say that you were setting it the wrong way.
Yeah, he's like, he kept bending it the way it's already bending. That'd be like me just doing this. Like, I'm trying to reset my nose, you guys. No, I'd have to literally crack it the other way. Like, it was so funny. Bro, I was doing a live stream with the guys from across the pond, and the second that right cross hit, I literally was like, he just broke his nose. And they're like, I think one of them was like, how do you know? And I'm like, I know. Trust me. Have you seen the shape of my nose? I know.
It was a faucet, like straight up at
one
point. Like,
the second it connected, I was like, oh, his nose is broken. And then like he hit the second right cross, and he's like, I'm like, see, he thinks he's gonna reset it in the middle of a fight.
And like
you're just crunching the cartilage at that point because you're eating more damage after.
Yeah. And the other thing to keep in mind, right, is that blood's going into your throat basically at the same time. So it's really hard to breathe. And
it's dripping. It's nasty.
Yeah. And for a guy that's known for taking you into deep waters, killing you like a shark basically, like Sean Strickland, you can't do that when you have that much damage and you can't use your cardio because you're hurt. So it was just an interesting fight. It was just kind of the continuation, in my opinion. Well, what was your take on this? Just because I know that you probably have a different analytical point of it.
Well, same thing for the most part. I thought it was a continuation of the other fight, but I just thought that it was, it seemed like one man grew from the last fight and the other man didn't do any homework. Like, it's the simple factor of you have two students, right? You have the guy that's naturally gifted at something, right? Like maybe he's really smart and he puts things together. And the other guy is someone that's going to constantly study to try and improve the way that he does on this test. One guy goes out and parties the night before, shows up, and he's like, I'm going to ace this. And he'll probably get a good grade. He does well enough. But the other guy, because he did just a little bit more work, maybe he's not as naturally gifted as man A, but man B put in the work to beat man A. That's what it felt like. I felt like Sean Strickland didn't progress or advance in any way, shape, or form in his fight prowess. He simply came in with the same exact game plan as he had before. Jab, jab, teep, jab, jab, teep. Step back. Like, that doesn't work against a guy that's going to turn the faucet on and just pressure fuck you the entire fight. And yes, that's going to be a TM'd term on this podcast, pressure fucking, because that's what we saw take place on Saturday night, folks. I've said it before and I'll say it again, right? Like, what's that?
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, I've said it before and I'll say it again, guys. Like, Dricus du Plessis, best way to describe his energy is like that of a giant puppy dog. If you've ever seen a puppy dog that weighs almost 100 pounds and is like 2 months old, they don't know what they're going to do next, which means neither do you. But because they're so large, it's probably not going to feel good if it's against you. That's how DDP fights. It's just unpredictable, spasmodic, and weird. And I love to watch it. I forget the exact quote he said, but he basically rephrased Conor McGregor's quote and said,
I saw that.
Yeah. Like instead of like timing beats speed and precision beats power, he said awkwardness beats speed and whatever works beats power. Like, that's fucking money because it's true. Like, again, my coach with the really cool accent. One of the most amazed moments I've ever had with him where I was like, oh, wow, this guy could kill me if he wanted to. Like, he was teaching us a lesson and somebody asked him, hey, Tomas, how should we throw a hook? Should we do it like this or should we do it like this? And he said, listen, Bradley, I don't care how you throw a hook. You throw it the way that you like to throw it and that it feels right for you. You can throw it like this. You can throw it like this. I don't care if you do some goofy stuff and you throw it like this. Because
whoa, that's not goofy. Hold up, that's the Dutch
listen,
style.
but he said because let me tell you, 7 years ago, people would see this, and then he runs and jumps off the fucking padded wall and does the Showtime kick, like beautiful form. He says people would look at this and say that is goofy. So he's saying that's why I said goofy about this. He's like, people would say this is goofy, but then they see it knock a man down, and they say, I need that goofy move in my arsenal.
No, he's right.
So it's Bruce Lee. I don't fear the man who trained 1,000 kicks. I fear the man who trained one kick 1,000 times. So if you train it this way 1,000 times. That's literally what he said.
Yeah, I mean, there's like in the system I'm a part of, we do both. We do the we call it beer mug and Dutch. Beer mug is for close range. Dutch is for the longer range. I thought your cat was my cat for a second. And
we go full and empty. So I think it's the beer mug mentality too. It's the same shit. It's just like a full mug and empty mug.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, right? It's just different ranges. The one thing I actually really thought, and I forgot to bring it up earlier about this fight, is the game plan, actually, because you brought it up. I'm shocked because, in my opinion, the best coach in MMA is Strickland's coach.
Eric Nixick.
I think he is the best MMA
I think you and Nano could probably do a whole episode on my channel about this. Just talking about how his football background and things like that. Like, honestly.
100%. I mean, there's a guy, I don't remember his name. I know he trains out of Texas. He's a newer MMA, or he's a newer pro fighter. He was an Oregon linebacker. And when I used to have TikTok, I used to see his, like, you know, he had made good TikToks and whatnot. Forgot the dude's name. We almost fought on the same card, actually, too. But nonetheless, he was a Oregon linebacker, right? University of Oregon linebacker, D1. And he was talking about how one of his things that he finds interesting about MMA is that we're so far behind in regards to data analysis, film analysis, practice analysis, things of that. So he films actually every rep in practice and reviews it after. So, you can go through that. And honestly, I think it's a touch that we need in the sport.
I completely agree. This is exactly why, like, when you have a fight coming up, I'll literally tell you, like, send me your fucking sparring videos and stuff, and I will watch them. Like, I enjoy doing that. I do it for this show, like, for fun. If my boy's about to fight, like, dude, I know I'm not a world-class coach. I know that. But I've trained with world-class coaches. And I like to think that I have not a world-class mind, but a pretty decent one. So, like, if I can give you even one golden nugget, I'm trying to do that. And I feel like Eric Nixick has a mind of fucking golden nuggets, right? Like, the way that he perceives and breaks down tape is incredible.
They have a film room at Extreme Couture. If you've watched any of the countdowns,
they should call it the fucking war room, if we're being honest.
But everyone uses that one, so you got to have like a different name at this point. Everyone has the war
the Doom Room, baby.
Yeah, something. Give me something. Although great movies, by the way. But yeah, no, it's just it was a kind of a shock for me personally because just I regard him such a highly as a coach. Now it could have been on Sean's end, right? Because sometimes the fighter doesn't listen and whatnot. But Sean doesn't seem like the guy. He seems like he listens to Nixick inside the cage, right? Outside the cage, that's a different ballgame. But inside the cage, it's a little bit different. So it was just very odd. And the other thing that I thought was very odd is why did everyone just start talking about DDP going up to light heavy? Like, did we forget there's another guy that he needs to fight?
Khamzat Chimaev is the guy.
Yeah. I don't get why we're talking about this whole moving up after one or two defenses
to fight Alex. Like, I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. Like, why are we talking about that? And I love Alex. I actually love the fight, if I'm being honest with you. I think it's a great fight. But right now, it doesn't make any sense. You gotta have Khamzat fight him. And before we even, like, because it sounds like we're both in the same boat here as far as what's next for the young man. It's got to be Khamzat. So how does that fight go? Do you see Khamzat actually beating DDP?
Brother.
I'll let you go first.
Brother, smash. No, just kidding. No,
Brother, we got to check this guy's grappling, brother.
Style, exactly. His grappling will get checked. I know that. Now, does he pass the test or not? I don't know because we didn't see him do much of that. And he really didn't fight any of these Eastern world style fighters, right? These like from Russia.
The Dags.
He's from Chechnya. Dags, Chechnya, all those places.
None of them Dags.
Like, I hired them all.
Do you like Dags?
What do
you like Dags, mate?
But you know what I mean? Like, it's a different style of wrestling, and
Yeah,
I
it really is.
know because we had a guy come to our gym from Chechnya / Dagestan, and I felt it. It is different. It's a different style of wrestling. So
I've been there. I've told you about.
No, I know you have
Islam. It's fucking stupid. It is genuinely dumb.
Sense.
It does like
It doesn't make sense.
literally from an analytical standpoint, from a logical standpoint, there's no part of it that adds up. You're just like, oh, I'm actually wrestling with a bear.
Yeah,
That's genuinely what it feels like.
Things they do, just from being able to work with a guy that's from your gym actually, who coached me for a little bit, Duran Wynn.
Duran Wynn, class act, really good dude.
Yeah, no, I love him, and he moved out to Colorado, but he taught us a lot of Khabib stuff, and there are little details that outside of that realm of the world, they don't talk about, like pinching of the knees all the time, like my wrestling coach in high school.
I've watched Islam tap people out in training, literally who were in a dominant position by closing their knees around an arm bar.
Yeah,
like he does weird shit, and you're just like, how did he do that? They train that. You're like, how did he do that? And that's how they train that. It's weird.
They do. My wrestling coach used to, may he rest in peace, from high school, but he used to do this thing, this machine, right? You know, when your legs go like this.
Oh yeah, the hip educators.
So we called them good girls or bad girls.
You're disgusting, and I love you.
No, it wasn't me. It was our coach. Our coach was the one that came up with that. Your
coach was great.
Yeah, no, he was the man. Like he was that guy. He almost went to the Olympics for wrestling. Like, great guy.
Fantastic.
But the good girl one, that's the
good girls great for submission. Bad girls great for butterflies and getting out of bad situations.
Exactly. But most people aren't doing that shit.
Yeah, I discovered that machine about 6 months after I discovered AKA.
Exactly, and that those minute details, though, like another great example that Duran showed us, right? So when you have like with Tatiana, right? She had her body lock, and she had her up against the cage. You don't want them up against the cage. You want to be the thing in between them and the cage.
Exactly.
And that's what the AKA style is, right? The doggy, the whatever.
And that's why that's why if you like next time you're watching a fight, and I know that you hate DC's commentary on a Dagestani, but one thing that I love about it is he uses the same terminology that Abdulmanap and like Javier will use. So he'll literally be like, watch how he's dragging him across the cage. He's dragging him through the water here. Like, they would use that terminology, dragging him through the water, because you're dragging him away from land. Land is the fucking cage. You're dragging him into the water, bro.
You guys have something, it was called like the KC drill or something like that. I know that for some reason I feel like he used
What's
that
the drill?
But basically it's like, right, you take him down, you get your knee in between them and the cage, and then you throw in the hook on the other side, and then like you go for the handcuff.
Oh, I think DC would call that like the whizzer cuff or some shit, because you start with the whizzer under the lead arm.
No, I'm talking about like you have the body lock, you take them down, you pull them off of the cage, and then you put your knee in between them and the cage, and then you use your other leg to throw in the hook, and then you pull them away from the cage.
I don't think I ever ran those.
Okay, I'm just curious because like it's just it makes sense, right? It's a system, and systems are made
because it sounds similar to something that DC used to teach us with the whizzer a lot.
It probably, it probably just has a different name, right?
Yeah.
And as much as I thought they were the same people, they are different people nonetheless. And so
they are different people.
True story.
True story.
Funny. I mean, there's a system there that they have, and it works. So yeah, and to finish off my little rant with the question that we just got from Trollstar, what's stopping him from moving is 15 pounds is a big. Look what Hamzat did to him.
Look, I'm actually going to come in with something different. What's stopping him from going to middleweight is what's stopping me from going back to sparring, and it's the fact that every time I think about it, my knees click. So,
I actually just saw Kamaru training today. A video. What do you call it? Justin Gaethje. If anyone has YouTube, or well, they're watching this on YouTube anyways, most likely. But if after this,
speaking of which, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and smash the bell for notifications, folks.
And do it for him, all right? Do it for him. Do it for Santa. Since it's Christmas, right? But what do you call it? If you got a chance after this, go and watch Justin Gaethje's channel. They do a fantastic job of showing you in his camp everything behind the scenes. It's really great. His whoever's doing his editing, videography,
that's
fantastic
awesome.
job on their end. But they showed Kamaru being back in the gym with him, so maybe I see something on the horizon for Kamaru for the fact that he's back in Colorado for some reason.
I love that. I'd love to see Kamaru come back. And if I'm being honest, maybe he went down to Mexico and got some stem cells.
That or some extra supplements. I don't know, but
I mean, well, look, hey, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Okay. I'm saying that because I've been highly considering doing the stem cells. I'm literally waiting. One of my boys got hit done recently, and on his shoulders. If I went, I'd get both shoulders and both knees done.
You're gonna.
What's that?
It's not bio. Is it Bio Accelerator, the one in the south, or is that Columbia?
I think that's the one in Columbia. The other one, it's like a 3-letter acronym or a 4-letter acronym.
Yeah, Neil Reardon or whatever. I listen to Joe Rogan every now and then. Yeah, okay.
It's the one that Joe Rogan shouts out all the fucking time.
Okay.
That's the one in Mexico.
If you do go, let me know. I'd be interested in just being even there just to watch it go through, how it works. But
absolutely, bro. Because I'm highly considering getting it done on both shoulders and both knees this year at some point.
Yeah, no, I mean, my teammate TJ, he was in Colombia not too long ago when got his shoulder and a bunch of shit done. But to bring it back, will we see Marty again? I don't know, but
it's tough.
I got to call him Marty, so that's what matters in the end.
Hold on, Trollstar. Are you earning the name right now with this comment, my guy? You said USADA's gone. I mean, even DDP has good cardio now, brother. Look. I can speak to this one real quick, okay?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
DDP just got his nose fixed. I don't know if you see how often I mute my mic and or hear me mouth breathing, but this is literally the reason, all right? There's no airflow working through this. It's why I'm not a fan of swimming. Water comes in, it doesn't come back out. So, this shit sucks. It just doesn't work for me. If I took a fat rip of my pen right now and blew smoke out, you would see it come out very slowly and only from one nostril. I promise you, it's not fun for me. So I can only imagine that that's pretty much what it felt like for DDP, who was fighting professional fighters in a cage, being able to breathe out of his mouth. Oh, and by the way, if you've ever trained, they tell you when you get knocked out is when you're taking a breath out of your mouth and you eat a shot to the jaw. Sparring was interesting for me. Okay. I had a cheat code of the fact that if you punch me on my nose, it just flattens, right? But I had the not cheat code of the fact that I'm constantly breathing through my mouth, which, this, Ian, not fun. You probably only do that when you're fucking gassed. So, not fun. I don't think it's a fact that USADA's gone. The fact that DDP has good cardio, he has good cardio because he finally got a corrective surgery for a badly deviated septum, which, fun fact, I'm definitely not 18. I haven't been 18 for over 18 years. And my doctor told me at 18 years old that I should probably get my deviated septum fixed because I can't breathe.
I agree with your doctor from however many years ago that was. And I still think their sentiment holds true, my friend. So
I feel like I'm attached to the way it looks. I like it.
No. This is Mary will agree with me on this. All right. So I know she's in the chat and she's about to agree with me, but
don't agree with him.
For the betterment of your life and your sleep and your health, get it done. For
the sleep alone, I've been thinking about it more and more. These days, your boy has decent insurance, so it makes sense.
Oh, I thought I saw her come into the chat.
I swear, as soon as I saw a chat, I was like, fucking hell, bro. That was quick. Trollstar said, I meant that even Usman's knees can now recover from his knees issues since USADA's gone. So, Trollstar, the best thing is I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, that stem cells will show up in a USADA test because I don't think they're a banned supplement.
No, they're not illegal. No,
and also they are one of, I believe, the top 15 sponsors or partnerships with the UFC moving into 2025. I've already seen them cut like 3 promos with the company I'm talking about, which is why I was like, oh, it seems pretty legit. Maybe I should give him a shot.
Yeah.
Instead, like before it was like, let me go to another country and have these people inject me with this magic dust. Like, it's kind of a scary thing. All right, Mary. All right, Mary.
Got it. No, I mean I think the thing he's thinking of, or she, because I don't know what Trollstar is, but just save my own.
They
ass
them.
here.
It's a they them.
Yeah, save my own ass in this PC world. So, no, whoever you are, I think the thing you're thinking of is the peptides they're talking about, and specifically the one the band that everyone wants.
Can't do that.
That maybe is what they're thinking of. So
yeah, that's fair.
It's a thing to look at, right? Because once again, I don't know much about this stuff, just because I really don't take many supplements at all. All those behind me aren't even mine. So it's just something that I need to look into more. Good job, champ.
Nice job. Just in case they're watching.
No, I mean, hey. Hold on. I'll give you a minute. This is TJ's company, so Wild Society shout out. Yeah,
I was gonna make a joke. I'm not going to.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say. Don't get me in trouble.
I love you, Ian.
I love you too, man. But damn, trying to get me in trouble. But yeah, no, I mean, actually, I have been piss tested before a fight, so it's because of something I said. But
just one time though, just the one time.
No, I was the randomly selected fight.
Do you have a cat next to you?
Yeah, sorry, it's.
I love that. Don't be sorry. I'm a cat dad, bro. I got 3 cats. Oh,
Zeus.
Little cutie. Oh, hi, Zeus. What a cutie.
He's wild. Like, so we went from. It's my wife's cat, right? So I didn't know him before, or I didn't,
Don't do that. Don't disown the cat, bro.
I'm not disowning him. I'm saying that I didn't know him when he was a little one, right?
Okay, fair.
Now we've gotten to the point where I'm the preferred parent, and it's hilarious because, like, great example is today, right? So he starts meowing at like 6 a.m, it's loud, nonstop. Jen's gone to work, so I do the sound. And I hear him fly up the stairs. See, you heard him there. I heard him fly up the stairs and just jumps in bed right next to me. It was so funny. None of us have been able to do that with him before. Like, he just doesn't listen. So
I love that.
Oh, that's why he was meowing. His food thing went off.
There it is. Dude, literally mine, like, so we have 3. We have our oldest one, which is like my son, and that's Bucky Moose, which of course rhymes with Zeus. And so he's been like literally rubbing up against my legs for the last like 15 minutes.
I saw him in the background.
And so I hit Mary up on Messenger. I was like, hey, can you open the door to let him out? I don't know if he's trying to get out or what. And she's like, oh no, I let him in because I went to the store to grab a couple things. I'll let him out when I get home. so literally as soon as she got home, I knew like 3 minutes before because he's just like sprinted to the door. He's like, yes, I'm going to get something to eat.
He's like, mom's home.
Swear. They literally, as soon as she gets home, they're like, all right, she's either going to give us treats or dry food or cuddles or something. She's mom.
There's something coming.
There's something coming. She never fails. Yeah, man. I love cats so much. I
never was a cat person. I still really don't consider myself one, but still.
I never was either. I grew up with dogs my whole life, bro. We had like pit bulls and stuff growing up in Louisiana. And then one of my restaurant homies was like, hey, my cat just had 3 kittens. My mom's going to make us take them to the pound. Does anybody want some or want one? And she sent a picture. And like in the picture, he looked like a little black cat. And Mary was like, oh, the black one's super cute. And I didn't even respond to her and say, we'll take the black one. I was like, hey, we'll take one. And she brought him over. He hid under the couch for 4.5 hours. I got home from work. There happened to be a Wednesday night fight card on. because it was tough. It was the finale. And Mary's like, hey, I have to go to work. He's been hiding under the couch since she brought him over. I felt bad leaving him, but I read online that you're supposed to just like let them come out on their own. So like, don't mess with them. I was like, cool. Come home, make myself a snack, sit down, crack open a Modelo, brewed for those with the fighting spirit. And literally, as soon as Bruce Buffer yells, "It's time!" I feel little like pitter patters of claws against my ankle. I'm like, what the fuck? He's like trying to get up my ankle. And so I pick him up and I put him on the couch, and he's never missed a fight card that Bruce has announced since. If he's asleep in the bedroom, he hears, "It's time!" And he'll walk up and jump on the couch.
This cat sounds like a legend.
Bro, I'm literally, I'll send you a video from last weekend.
We need
of him making a face during the fights. It's the funniest shit.
You need to tag the UFC. He needs to become the mascot of the UFC. Forget the Trojan condoms. Commercials. We need Bucky Moose in this bitch.
Let's go. Bucky Moose, the official cat of the UFC.
Can you imagine? And then they just have Bruce.
He's
Buffer
the guy.
Going, "It's time," and you just see him run in and run up the Zeus. That would be dope. Bro, I'm just saying.
Fire. Bro, I'm seriously. I'll send you the video after this. It's hilarious.
I never had pets growing up, so I wasn't allowed to. So
man,
it's an interesting journey as Jen would say, as a cat dad.
It's different. And yeah, man. It's very, very different. And ours is literally a panther. He's a Russian blue breed. He's 22 pounds. Like, unit, bro.
He's a tuxedo. I don't know what that's a real name, but that's what Jen
tuxedo
said.
cat. Yeah, it's a real name. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, black and white.
Right. Yeah. That's what he is.
I think tuxedo is like a related or distant relative breed to like the tabby style cats.
You know way more than me. I'm a dog person. Like I know breeds.
I only know because I looked up like once we got these cats, and like when Bucky is so different than his sisters, and they look alike, but they're like slightly different color schemes. So they're both tabby family. They have similar personality traits, and so I'm like, what the hell is this guy? So I look him up, and there's like the blue family, and there's like 4 different versions of it, and he's a Russian blue, and like they originated in Russia, like Siberia. They were hunted for their fur, and they learned to live and adapt to living on the land. Ironically, I named him Bucky Moose. Bucky is Captain America's sidekick, which is why I named him that. And Bucky was found and brainwashed and trained by the Russians after World War II. So like it just like randomly worked out naming conventionally wise. And he's obviously a fight fan.
Though. Bucky was Captain America's boyfriend in the movies, though. I don't care what anyone says.
Oh my God.
I don't care what anyone.
All right, folks, that was Ian. Really, really happy to have him on the show. That was the last time you will ever see his face on this show. Just kidding.
That was pretty funny. No, what do you call it? Apparently for him, and that's why he meows so much, is they're the huskies of cats. Apparently, that's what Jen told
Love
me.
that.
So, he's a very vocal gentleman.
I was gonna say, so they're very, very on your ass about being on routine
anything.
and doing things uniform.
He gets fed at 6:30 p.m. every day. That's like we have like one of those automatic feeders. He is losing it at 5:45 every day.
Oh yeah, that's how Bucky is. The girls will sleep, but like Moose will literally run up to me and he's like, "Dude, come on, is it time? Is it time yet?"
It's time.
It's time. Where's Bruce?
It's time
for the food to be in the bowl.
But yeah, no, it's an interesting time, but you know,
it is.
All right.
So we've talked about the fights. We've talked about what's next. I think the only thing we didn't really talk about what's next is Sean Strickland. So I'm just going to say this real quick, and then I'll pass it to you if you have a name on the tip of your tongue. If not, we'll go closing remarks. I think for Sean Strickland, what should be next, call me crazy, call me a fucking madman here, I think it's got to be Bo Nickel, right? Bo Nickel's looking for a marquee name to build himself off of. Sean Strickland's looking for a name that's coming up that he can kind of bounce back off of. I think trajectory-wise, this simply lines up very, very well for both men involved. Are you kicking me off the stool here? Am I crazy? What's happening?
No, I actually like it. I'm not as high on Bo as you are, ironically, but
I'm not high on Bo at all, especially after that last fight against the Lion Paul Craig.
Oh yeah. I was like, who? And, no, for me,
Like his coaches said he was a Lion 5 times that fight week. It was the weirdest thing.
Maybe lost in translation, right, or something like that. But here's the thing, right? Is like Sean can become the gatekeeper now of middleweight, right? He can become, or my favorite one of weight classes at one point was what's his name? He's he's a Sun Sao, right? He was that man.
Rafael Sun Sao dropped Dustin Poirier twice at featherweight.
But he was the gatekeeper of bantamweight though, like for real. Like if you wanted to fight for the title, you had to go through him. So he could be that guy and fight Imavov, right? Because Khamzat gets his shot now, like, and Imavov needs to be active. In my opinion, right? Like he doesn't really have that big of a name at the moment still, even though he's ranked very high. I think he's number 2 right now. He's ranked very high. Not many people know or care about him at the moment. Give him a fighter that's going to talk shit to him, talk shit about his background, his faith, whatever it may be. Let him get some people behind him and then beat the shit out of the man and take his fans. He ain't taking Sean's fans, but let's just call a spade. But get some more, knowledge out there of who the hell you are. Because right now, no one knows and no one cares about Imavov. So, yeah, that would be my take on this.
Yeah, I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about that at all. I think that's a fun shout. I think the only other name that I'd possibly think of is maybe I don't even want to say it out loud. Joe Piver?
Oh, I thought you were going a whole different route than that. Jesus, thank
yeah. Wait, where did you think I was going?
I thought you were going to say like Jared Cannonier, or at one point I thought you were going to say Whittaker.
He needs to fight Joe Silva, the matchmaker.
Yeah, I was like, oh, please no. Please just don't be Jared Cannonier. That's the only name I didn't want.
Dude, Jared Cannonier's fighting this week?
Yeah, I know, but like,
So I guess trajectory-wise that does line up, but man, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that. But, hell, I'd rather see him fight the winner of Edmund Shabazian versus Dylan Butka than that.
Okay, never mind.
If Edmund Shabazian gets a knockout, that could happen.
No, we're ending it
Golden
now
Boy?
because of this.
Just lost subscribers right now for that take.
I was going to say brain cell.
Who?
I said brain cells.
Oh, brain cells. Oh, yes. It's
but
fair.
I do that
That's
enough
fair.
already, so fair play.
Oh, man. Can I tell you my most worrisome pick in all of fantasy MMA that I have?
Let's hear it.
It's coming up. It's literally coming up next week. So we have Calvin Kattar versus Yusuf Zalal. I got Yusuf Zalal. I love Yusuf Zalal, but I don't love the matchup. But I think he wins.
He's been on a tear. He's been on a tear as of late. I thought actually, he has a great vlog himself now. He just started YouTube.
He's fantastic. He's got a great personality too.
He's got a great, whoever is editing, doing those vlogs, another great job. Because one of my high school wrestling teammates actually does it for Cejudo and DJ. He's their videographer and editor and all that.
Oh, okay.
So
that's sick.
But whoever is doing that guy's videos and all that needs a raise. But
because they're doing good work.
He really is. And then Yusuf, I think, is on a tear now. I think his first run in the UFC was a great reminder, or whatever it may be, between him and his coaches. Because I know he's a Factory X guy with Mark Montoya. So I think it'd be interesting just to see this kind of test for him because of his rise in the past 2-3 fights. I mean, he is just on a tear as of late. So I think it's a great fight for him. I think this is the test because like they did that with Aljo, another very grapple heavy guy on UFC 300, and he looked great. So you know what, this could be a start, like a match made in heaven, and be a great fight that we didn't even know was about to happen.
1000%, man. I love the boost of confidence you just gave me right now. I'm gonna be talking shit all fight week right now to the group chat. So with that being said, folks, that's it for the show. You've stuck with us for a little over 2 hours. There's almost There's over 20 of you here right now. We appreciate each and every one of you. If you're watching on Twitter, do us a huge favor, even if it's just for a moment right after we wrap up. March on over to YouTube, hit the like, hit the comment, hit the subscribe button, and obviously smash that bell for notifications. I'm at MMAnomaly on all platforms. If you're not already tuned into this guy, if you don't know, now you know. At juice.mma, he is going to be the future. If you don't know, you should probably get educated today, folks. And again, the last thing, but certainly not least, probably the most important thing we say each and every show is this, and this right here. Keep on going and keep on growing, folks. We will see you next.
You've been listening to the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. As you may have been able to tell, we dig the MMA, and our passion is to dive deep into the upcoming fights, give you our expert breakdowns, and help you make sense of all the chaos that is the fight game. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, make sure to find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at MMAnomaly. Be cool, and we'll see you next time.